Everybody's very emotionally dependent on Vox. His fan base is very emotionally dependent on him. The 3 women he was having a love triangle with, this 20-year-old girl that he just met. Indie VTubers get cancelled for less very often. Just this would be cancelable material for an indie VTuber. It does feel like there's somebody that gets very popular online. There's a lot of women that flock around him, especially when they do this kind of content, and then they're just like, oh my god, I'm getting so much attention. I don't know, dude, that dude was already farming before. Look at how everywhere he walks, he makes the women crazy about him. So of course it's happening now again when he's popular. He gets to do that, but on a huge platform. Okay, so let's start with the Vox Google Doc. It's a pretty long Google Doc. It might take me a long time to get through it. Lots of talking. Before you read this, we advise you with the following message. Do not harass anybody mentioned in this, especially the people who are the victim of the actions of Vox Akuma has allegedly done to them. Oh, they said allegedly, so they're backing themselves up. We do not want you to harass Vox over this document. He has moved on despite not taking any real consequences for his actions. We thank you for taking the time to read this. If you plan on reading the whole thing, we hope you read this, absorb the information, and go on with your day with the knowledge. On the off chance that Vox is still doing these things to other women without Nijisanji or the public's knowledge. We do not allege that he still is, but we are unsure and do not want anybody else harmed by him in the future. We also urge you to not try to contact us, as we do not plan to do a follow-up to this document in the near future. This section is for Nijisanji or anybody working under, with, or plans to work with them in the future specifically. We highly urge you to know who this company associates with. The horrible allegations surrounding Aster Acadia as of the writing of this document have not yet been resolved. Yes, we are still waiting on that. That alone should give you thought. Not to mention the horror stories past Niji livers in the past 2 years and the very public dramas between Nijisanji, their livers, Mint Phantom, formerly known as Rainpuff, Doki Bird, formerly known as Silentatsuki, and Sayu Synchronicity, formerly known as Zion Lenza. Whatever your opinion may be after these events, go in as neutral as possible and form your own opinion after reading this. The current state of the internet is one of glimpse and assume, and that is not something I support. Right off the bat, I'm wondering if this was written by a single person or a group of person, because they switched between I and we. Assuming that we are making this document maliciously false, our opinion of him before learning this information was somewhat neutral. I did not 100% believe these allegations before researching and finding all the following evidence. Oh, so they're not a direct victim of this. It is well known that Nijisanji is a black company that is willing to disparage former employees. Sayu and Doki Bird illegally fire overseas employee Doki Bird and possibly hold an employee work visa as a means to force them to do a specific thing they most likely were unwilling to do. Illyra's Pandora's participation in hosting the Black Screen Stream. We possibly hold. Yes, I remember that this was a rat during Selengate because Illyra was visiting Japan at the time, and people were speculating that they could have been holding her work visa, or just not holding her work visa, but being like, if you want to work there and be there, then you need to do this. She might have felt under pressure. That was never confirmed. That was really more of a rumor. Kept in the first place, as much as I dislike my logic, why should we give credit to this doc? Well, you gotta read it first to know if you're gonna give credit to it, right? You gotta read it first. How can I know if I'm gonna give this credit without knowing about the content of it? I need to know what's the content first, and then I'll judge it. Kept sex pests around even after allegations against them have been circulating for nearly 10 months, Aster Acadia, and people like Vox and Luca. They have allowed all of this to persist and even caused some of these themselves. Know who you support and what their motives may be. Before we begin, I'm just gonna say that if whatever follows is true, and he has done horrible stuff in the past, man, they are really bad at picking their talents and background checking them. Introduction. Okay, there's like 2 intros. There's like the soft intro / disclaimer and this. You know, one interesting rat that I learned recently about Nijisanji is that apparently there was supposed to be another graduation notice with bullet points, but that talent allegedly lawyered up, so Nijisanji didn't release it. And apparently that might have been Yugo. But again, that's just a rat. But it's one of the most interesting rat I've heard in a while. Like it actually piqued my interest. False has talked about that numerous times. He is rather tight-lipped about it. That's the problem, right? Is that even if somebody tells you something behind the scene, well, it's like there's like the first degree source, which is a direct source, somebody that's working there, or there's the less credible source, which is a friend of a friend, but it's somebody that you trust really well, that you're like, they would never lie to me. Or there's the like third degree less credible source, where it's like the friend of a friend of a friend, and I heard that somewhere backstage. But in all of these cases, they can't ever reveal themselves. And even if you do keep them anonymous, they could still get found out. And even if they're like, I'm willing to go on statement, but keep me anonymous, people would still question it. So it's like, fuck, what do you do? Okay, introduction. It is important to recognize, I gotta put my horse blinders on and focus. It's important to recognize that while time may blur our memories, it does not erase the consequences of our action and the actions of others. People can change, but such change often depends on self-awareness and genuine accountability. Without acknowledgement of the past, how can we accurately assess the authenticity of someone's growth? Although our past does not define us, it undeniably influences who we are today. I guess I agree with this. It influences who we are today, for better or for worse, Emo. This reality prompts us to critically examine the narratives we accept about others' journey towards redemption. However, it's worth noting that redemption can sometimes serve as a blanket that people use to hide from their past and not take accountability. Okay, I'm reading a wisdom book now. With that being said, Vox Akuma had a possible disgusting past behavior. Disgusting past before joining Nijisanji, according to the info we have collected over the past month and a half. We will be going over a timeline of events that happened during the later half of the 2010s and early 2020s. My god, that's a... Okay, the later half of the 2010s, so 2015 to 2020, that hold serious allegations that Vox, in his time before and during his time in Nijisanji, has refused to publicly acknowledge or refute. A TLDR for this document that we are alleging that Vox Akuma is the former voice actor, or VA, Vade, who worked with Starbot Dubs, Sans Comics TV, and a few other channels. Well, this explains why he's actually a really good VA, I think. Like, aside from, you know, the bad stuff he's done, I do think he has, like, a good voice. I didn't know that he worked with so many, like, channels. That's crazy. He then went on to become Kalisto before joining Nijisanji EN as Vox Akuma. So I've heard the allegations against Kalisto and against Vade before. It didn't really bring them up back then because it was all over the place. And it was like, you know, sometimes showing like PL stuff, it's sensitive, it's touchy. I think now it's like, you know, the cat's out of the bag and many other people have covered this before, so it's fine. But every time, even if it's another VTuber account or like an alternate VTuber account, it's like a breadcrumb that somebody that's malintentioned could follow to more sensitive information. So I do try to be careful about that as much as I can, even though sometimes it feels like I'm beating around the bush too much. Or not, you know. It's just so difficult to navigate these things in the VTuber community. We are also in no way saying that anything Vox did behind the scenes was Starbot's fault, as she was unaware of these actions and all the allegations until 2018. And the allegations we are bringing forth are solely his fault. We also want to make it apparent that this document is in no way meant to attack him or the Nijisanji fanbase that surrounds him, but as a way to make people aware of what he is capable of, as a mean to prevent future wrongs. Of course, we cannot control Vox's action, so it's impossible to stop him, but lessening his ability to reach out to people outside of Nijisanji is a safeguard for the VTubing community. I like your VTuber model, looks cute, thank you. We will go over Vox's alleged past, which includes possible grooming and PDF-philia, cheating, manipulation, running a homophobic and transphobic Discord server, sexual coercion, doxing, emotional manipulations, emotional abuse, bullying people with autism, slandering former friends, and publicly outing a woman's sexuality without her consent. But this does not include Vox Akuma's current behavior. Okay, there better be some strong evidence to tie to that, because these are some really heavy allegations. If any of the content mentioning here is triggering for you, we highly encourage you to jump to chapter 7, where current behavior is listed, as well as counter arguments, chapter 8, where a conclusion of the entire situation will be given, or to jump straight to the appendix to see the evidence yourself. With that said, let's start from the very beginning. Chapter 1, Vox Akuma's alleged past life and history. Vox Akuma allegedly first went under the name Vade on YouTube and Vade, or whatever that's pronounced, on Tumblr, and Vade on Twitter. But at some point between his allegations being published by Starbutt Dobbs. So what are these? Oh, it's just a link to the channel, it's nothing. Okay, it's literally just a link to Starbutt Dobbs' channel. Okay, first of all, when you hyperlink this, I wish it brought me to the allegations published by Starbutt Dobbs. But it doesn't. She made a vid about what Vader put her through a while back. Well, it's saying here that it's via a private YouTube video and unfortunately poorly archived Tumblr posts got unlisted. Okay. Oh my god, the way back archive thing. They take forever to load. Okay, so I guess this was the Tumblr statement that she made, and it's follow-up with my thoughts on Vade. Let's zoom in a little bit, it's very small. Hey guys, so it's been long enough and I do feel like kind of summarizing everything afterward, my thoughts on everything, because it's still been on my mind a little bit and I want to talk about it. This is my blog, so there will be a lot more bias here since it's my thoughts, keep that in mind. First, I want to address some criticism. No, I did not talk about Vade just to get views, and I had absolutely every intention of letting him and me part peacefully until I was informed he was still doing this stuff and I learned more about what happened. As I stated in the video, I had absolutely no idea he cheated or some of the ages of the girls he was going after. Some stuff I did know and I was complicit in at the time, since I thought he had just made a mistake and was young and immature, which I don't think anymore, and was wrong of me at the time. A few people in the comments said that what I presented wasn't worthy of criticizing him as a person, and people are free to feel that way. As stated, draw your own conclusion. If you haven't seen what I'm referring to, take a look here. Vade is not making a response video. Vade would repeatedly slander me to other people. So she's saying that she finds him cowardly for not putting it on his channel. He's trying to hide from the drama. Here's some thoughts that she didn't put in the video. Vade would repeatedly slander me to other people in public discords and would trash me anywhere he got the opportunity to. He was very bitter about me not allowing him back on the channel, which I suppose I understand, but he quit in the first place, so I don't really know why he couldn't let it go. After all, he's doing just fine now. He would tell people that I was a horrible person who oppressed his creativity and ran the channel like Czar. I don't think that could be further from the truth. I really don't want to dig for screenshots for proof, but I always pride myself on my usage of the term partnership, and he had full upload privileges, and I entertained most of it, not all of his ideas, as he did with mine. He used to be an incredibly good friend of mine after all, and we would bounce ideas off each other and enjoy creating together. It really hurt me a lot to see the way he would talk about me in messages that some people sent to me. I want to clarify though, that didn't affect my decision to make the video. I wasn't trying to get back at him in any petty way or anything like that. I just wanted to address the toxic stuff he's been doing. He had this whole habit of flirting with girls and artists to get free artwork after all. I think that's worth people knowing about. I also learned the girls he was flirting with in his Discord were 12 and 14. I think that's a bit of a problem. I can't really understand if you don't think that. That is messed up. That's pretty messed up. Some people took issue with me, but what? I guess what age was he at the time? Was he younger than 18? Because that was like 10 years ago. Oh, he was under 18 at the time, but it's still weird. He was 16, 17 according to the evidence. Okay, we'll refer back to the doc after that. Some people took issue with me posting the information privately and not confronting him, but what you guys missed was that repeated times I told him he can't keep doing this stuff. He would make excuses, wouldn't listen, would gaslight me into thinking there wasn't a problem. The Undertale fandom really seems to have a problem with these kind of people, and I really don't know why that is. I guess it's just a product of having a large fandom about a game that draws in people. Now, why did I make this post? I just really felt like I needed to talk about it in a more personal matter. It's been bothering me a lot after I learned all this stuff and weighing on my psyche pretty heavily, and I guess I just felt like sharing it with you guys. Making the video completely consumed me for a week, and I felt awful the entire week. When I put the video up, I had my first panic attack that I've ever had. Woohoo! It's incredibly painful to see someone you wanted to resolve things peacefully with lie and absolutely degrade you in comments. I wonder if you left comments on her video. Even when, to your face, he's begging to be allowed back on the channel, as well as lied to me all those years about his actual behavior. Overall, it is something that I think shouldn't be ignored. I guess it's his choice to not make any form of response since he's racking in cash doing Undertale dubs and he doesn't want that to be hurt. That I mentioned that he hates Undertale because he told me that multiple times and that he only wants to do it for the cash. He also told me he had no passion for videos anymore and just did them for money and because of our friendship. Really long post. I know if you guys want to continue watching him, it's not like I can stop you, nor do I even really want to. I'm just a little tired of seeing people excuse his behavior in comments, and I'm sure he's still using artists' work without them knowing about it. I'm open to talking more about this if you guys want to send ask. And like Vade, I'm not afraid of the truth. Okay, that's pretty heavy. I had never looked into that before. Okay, so at some point between his allegation being published by Starbot, which is what we just read, via a private YouTube video, poorly archived Tumblr posts, he started daily streams in mid-2021 and changed his online persona to Kalisto on his old Vade YouTube channel. Evidence linking Vade and Kalisto together can be seen in this video, posted on November 22nd, 2019 at 1:10:23 onwards. However, we will address him as Vox throughout the rest of this as the current name he goes under online and will help clear up any confusion. What is the evidence?
In the way. And I don't want to leave an attack lying around by accident and end up hurting you, so you'll be safer without me around anyway.
Sans, I'm not worried about such things.
That's him.
But it's not just one thing. That's what I'm trying to get at. I want to try doing stuff by myself for once. You know, see if me and Papyrus...
Not him, the other person talking,
and
right?
No offense, but you know he can get curious sometimes. And I don't want him walking into any basements he shouldn't. And if another human falls down here, I don't want him around when you find him. And you don't want that either. Am I right?
Go back to the other guy. There. That.
What I've done. I had to do.
But people need me to.
Although there he kind of sounds like Sea-Dog VA. Oi, you. Yeah, you. Hi. If you're not subscribed to my second channel, I don't know what you're doing with your life. So take a moment, press the like button, press the subscribe button, and hit that notification bell on. And thank you so much. I appreciate you. Now let's get back into the video. Vox had worked with Starbot Dubs starting May 29th, 2016, his first official credited video being Underline Part 6. His time ended around September 2017, but the last video that he is credited with is Snowy Mountains, released by Starbot Dubs on December 2nd, 2017. During his time with Starbot Dubs, he was very close with Starbots, as well as many other voice actors such as The Rogue VA, Ruby Card, Max Out of 10, and even going to MagFest together with them and posting about it on his Tumblr. Vox had worked almost exclusively with the Undertale comic dub scene, as his first and his last videos were both of the Undertale comic dub variety. And it was what made him popular. He did do a few non-Undertale videos for games and anime like Zelda, Mario, Overwatch, Mob Psycho 100, etc., but Undertale was his main gimmick. Alright, we need to get to the point here. He became rather well known for his work as Sans, Papyrus, and Asgore, but especially W.D. Gaster in many series that would become Starbud's most popular. Such examples are the fights and handplay Starbud's most popular and third most popular video series respectively. Vade also did the voice acting for the second most popular video, Christmas Party, AU movie as well, and Vox loved Wolf of Warcraft during September 2016 as revealed by a video in the description. Okay, whatever. Next paragraph. However, in a now deleted video, Starbud Dubs made an announcement that she described as a big channel update that she and Vox had gone their separate ways. In the deleted video, she described that separation as amicable. But then, on September 8th, 2018, it would be revealed in a deleted follow-up video that it very much was not. The allegations. Starbud Dubs about Vade video. This section will give a summary of each portion of the Starbud Dubs video, and we highly recommend that you read over the script generated from YouTube's auto-generated closed caption, as the audio and visual form of the video are largely unobtainable, and this script will be the first source listed as the Chapter 2 evidence section. On September 8, 2018, a video titled About Vade was uploaded to the Starbud Dubs channel, where Starbud addressed the allegation that had been circulating both online and in real life. The video opened with an explanation that Vox had been unfaithful to 3 different girls simultaneously. So he had a harem, all of whom, it seems, were somewhat aware of each other. Oh, okay, so they knew of each other. The claim emerging from the now private video, highlighted through closed captions, painted a troubling picture of Vox's conduct. The claim suggests he manipulated and mistreated these 3 women, and further alleged that as a 16 turning 17-year-old less than 2 months after these events, one of whom was 14. So he was 16 dating a 14-year-old. Okay, so he's in high school dating somebody else in high school. Yeah, the wording is confusing on that sentence because there's no, like, they're talking about the claim that he manipulated, mistreated 3 women, and further alleged that is, they're like not naming him in this part of the sentence. It's so confusing. While the argument could be made that the age difference with both individuals being underage doesn't automatically qualify as a PDF file, the developmental and psychological gap between a 16, 17-year-old and a 14-year-old is significant enough to possibly label this as grooming. For example, a Gen Z is from 1997 to 2012. You cannot say that someone from the earlier half of Gen Z is the same as the later half of Gen Z, 2 completely different in developmental and psychological terms. Screenshots from Starbud's dub follow-up Tumblr thread purportedly offer evidence that Vox exploited this imbalance to his advantage. That's the thread we just read, and I don't think it said that. I think it said he manipulated them for art. Yeah, but actually, in that Tumblr post, she said the girls were younger. She said they were 12. But the doc only mentions a 14-year-old. If this were all true, it would just be creepy and scummy, but the manipulation towards these 3 does not stop there. Oh, okay. The first girl Starbud talked about was dubbed Pony Brony, the 14-year-old. Vox, when breaking up with her sometime around Christmas, dates could not be confirmed, tried to manipulate her by saying he could not see them being together due to her being Christian, and said he would not become religious just to have sexual interactions with her, as well as only loving her as a brother or a father figure. A friend of Starbud Dubs, who had gone into psychology, was quick to notice the emotional manipulation he used to make it seem like it wasn't his fault, but Pony Brony's. By blaming her religion, Vox's actions are not only questionable due to the statement itself, but also when you account that Pony, who was 14 at the time, most likely should not be having these type of interaction with anybody, no matter the partner's age. Does that sentence imply that they were having sexual interactions? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Royal Onion, thank you for the 5 months. I'm a fan of Vox, but I don't care what he did at 16. Listen, like, in relationship, there's some people that are more mature. There's some people that are more immature. The reason why we draw the line at 18 is so there's like a barometer and we're like, all right, this is the line, because there needs to be a line. Now, I don't know them. I don't know how he was at 16, but I'll say that, like, I'm pretty sure a high schooler dating another high schooler is common back then. I don't know how these people are dating. Like, I can't even score a date now. I mean, this doc has a transcript, apparently. The script will be the first source listed at the chapter 2 evidence section. This feels comically evil, like they are accusing Vox of the worst shit ever, but show no proof or word it weirdly. And yeah, it is weird. It is worded weirdly, and yeah, they went a bit hard on that. I mean, I haven't gotten through the rest of the document. We're on the first accusation. The first accusation is a little weak. Okay. However, these were far from the only allegations. One of Starbot and Vox's closest friend, called Green in the video, had been caught up in something truly disgusting and unforgivable involving Vox if found true. Starbot, Green, and Vox had been drinking, despite Vox being underage at the time, 17. He had 2 drinks and did not say no to being offered drinks. Okay, whatever. I mean, I feel like I've done that. Ooh. I did not say no to being offered a drink at 17. Starbot pulled Vox aside and proceeded to very clearly and firmly tell Vox that Green is someone who gets flirty, but does not ever take the initiative while drunk. And therefore, Vox should not do anything to her, especially since Green was 19 while he was only 17. It should also be mentioned that in the script, Vox was described as far more sober than Green, so Starbot adamantly told Vox not to do anything with Green and then hopped in the shower. Okay. When Starbot emerged from the shower, dressed appropriately, she found Vox pinning Green down on the floor and making out with her against her will. She was able to get them apart and put them into separate rooms before going downstairs to get a smoothie, commenting that she would take care of things in the morning. When she came back up to check on them, Vox had found the room Green was in and was trying to convince Green to sleep with him, saying things such as, "Your anxiety will tell you this isn't fine, but it is, and you need to do this with me," along with a few other comments such as, "Fuck Starbot," name censored for privacy reasons. Green had confided in Starbot in the past that she had anxiety problems. According to the script, if this is to be believed, Vox allegedly took advantage of someone's anxiety issues to pressure and sexually coerce them into sleeping with him. Okay, that part's stick to the facts. I feel like this is stretching it out a little bit. We're not making a YouTube video there where you need to, like, you know, put the audience in the setting and give some, like, background, because you gotta stretch it out. It's just a Google Doc, just, you know, bullet points, that's good enough. Bullet points, screenshots, that's what it should be. Under both USA and UK law, this is considered sexual assault. Said victim being under the influence of alcohol is also a case of sexual assault. Are these old bullies of him or something? No, that's what I was wondering, if like the person writing the Google Doc was one of the victims, but then they said that no, they just compiled all of these allegations that they researched it and they compiled the allegations themselves. So it's like they have like actually no stake in this, I guess. Let me just close some tabs. We can look at the video that was released on him. That's apparent. I think all of this section is based on this video that we have the script of. Well, the argument could be made that since both of them were under the influence of alcohol and thus it wouldn't have mattered. That isn't true. Starbot described Vox as much more sober than Green in the closed caption. Later on, in one of her follow-up Tumblr posts, she says the sobriety of both people wasn't worth speculating over. But in the closed caption, and thus the video by proxy, she is adamant that the audience knows that he admitted that he was the initiator. Okay. The last part related to Green is how Vox handled everything. This will be mentioned more in chapter 4, but the large summary is that he allegedly publicly denied everything on his Discord server called Vade, Vade's Meme Vault. He used Green's real name, which is Doxing by law, and then proceeded to oust her as a lesbian. Regardless of that last statement being true or false, he also twisted the context, saying that he was too buzzed to understand Starbutt's warning that he and Green were just playing around to spite Starbutt, and most importantly, lying about Green's consent. It should be noted as well that Green was not in his Discord server at the time, so she had no way to confirm true or false to his audience and no way to defend herself. Since the server was invite only, there's no way Vox would have allowed her inside to defend herself and lay things to rest. According to Starbutt, there were multiple screenshots of Vox admitting that he was the initiator or instigator of what happened to Green. So if this is true, later lies about Green being a PDF file. What? So if this is true, later lies about Green. About Green being a PDF file and coming onto Vox would be proven false. Oh, because she was over 18 and he was under. So I guess after this incident, there were rumors about people were calling her the PDF file, and people were saying that she was the one coming on to him instead of the other way around, to be further discussed in this chapter. The last allegation from the video was of Vox bullying and degrading an autistic minor. The fan had been suffering from depression and was seeking help from someone they trusted, citing that they had issues keeping friends and they were losing their family over their suffering. Even though Vox tried to help, he actively degraded and insulted the child the entire time. Starbutt mentioned this in her follow-up Tumblr post, but the summary is that even if he was trying to help, he should have known better than to not insult the child, and to know better than constantly putting the conversation back on himself instead of just leaving the kid alone. Or better yet, refer him to places like the suicide hotline or people who are meant to handle situations like that. Thankfully, this part of the video does have screenshots that were saved and you can read them here. The links to these images as well as all evidence, including the video script, will be posted and after the appendix. These screenshots will be posted below for your viewing pleasure. The child is censored in yellow. So just the child, this is him. First step is making friends. To making friends, start talking to people without putting pressure on them. You're in Discord, that's a good start. Just find some people and go say hi, tell them about yourself. The way ordinary people make friends isn't that hard if you try. People usually just ignore me, plus with my... never mind. See, that's the first problem. I've been alone for a few years now. You can't go around doing that shit, man. Nobody likes that. I know. So stop doing it. That's why I'm hated by over 100 people. Am I supposed to be able to read this? That's why I'm hated by over 100 people. It's really not that hard. If you want to be... You guys should see me right now. I'm like bent over an inch. I'm like an inch from the screen. Like squinting my eyes and stuff. I'm like, I'm gonna need glasses soon. It's really not that hard. If you want to be friends with people, don't pressure them by talking about how miserable you are. Newsflash, we're all miserable. But not everyone has to be a dick about it, man. It's my stupid autism and my stupid life and my stupid feelings. Dude, I'm not even gonna keep talking about this because you're not gonna listen. But honestly, the key to being friends with people is treat them with respect. Get to know them before you start with this stuff. Just treat others as you would like to be treated. I mean, how intimidating would it be if some stranger you've never met before comes up and be like, hey, can we be friends? I'm really miserable because of my stupid autism. If that's where your mind is right now, I'm sorry, man, but seriously. The person responds, I adjust. And then he says, this is a skill you can learn, and easily too. And then he responds, when I was smaller, younger, less experienced, I just wanted to say hi and hug everyone I met. I mean, so far I kind of agree with Vox, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, he's being blunt, but he's right though. I wouldn't even have the patience to carry on this conversation if somebody doesn't even write full sentences and keeps telling me and keeps being like, oh, I'm miserable, I'm stupid. It's like, okay, well, maybe you shouldn't be on the internet. Maybe you should go hang out with your parents. I do believe in telling people the right thing, even if it's blunt. Sometimes that will have a bigger impact on them than, you know, tiptoeing around. So this is just Vox being a quote-unquote asshole when he was a teenager. I don't like him, but this is just overblown teenage drama. Like, there is nothing serious. Well, I don't know. We'd have to look more into the previous allegations of him, you know, pushing down somebody and making up with them. I don't know how Green feels about it. We don't have her side yet. I'd like to see some evidence on that before I can make up my mind. We're like 3... I mean, I don't know. Fuck. they named so many like quote unquote crimes, and then a lot of them, when we got to these parts, it feels like it's like a stretch, like a lot. Okay, good lord, this is the issue. You're using your shit as an excuse to just give up. How the hell is anyone supposed to want to be friends with you if you're so blind to the people who are very busy, who are taking their time to give you a hand? Wink wink. If you're losing your grip on your friends and family, talk to them, ask them about their problems, get to know them. I don't understand. Try to form a genuine connection with them and see what's going wrong. Communication is key to every relationship. They say no, die an enemy, and getting to know the problems people might have with you is an excellent start to reflecting and improving. Start there. That's my advice. If it still doesn't work, seek professional help. I guess no one should suffer alone, blah blah blah. Not just mentally, literally. What the fuck even am I doing anymore? Dude, you're not listening. Dude, this is not why no one wants to be your friend. I'm sitting here laying it out. ... Exactly, what I need to do is improve, and all I get is I'm so fucked. That's why. Hearing you say that, you have a shitty attitude, makes me think maybe I don't have any friends at all. And no amount of I'm so fucked is gonna change that. Here he goes again. Talking a wall meme. Yeah, it does feel like he's talking to a wall. Nah, Vox has more patience than I would have. This is nuts. This is nuts. He has more patience than I would have. The other guy is annoying. Or the other person he's talking to is annoying. I guess I don't have any friends after all if you're talking to me that way, like, bruh. It could be that the kid had depression. Yes, yeah, probably. It's not the responsibility of strangers on the internet to shoulder that. They're not properly equipped for that. And also, I mean, this is an assumption, but from reading the screenshots, it feels like this is the kind of conversation that's been happening often. And we do have people that try to do this kind of stuff in the Discord too sometimes. Like that play the card, oh, I'm so miserable, I'm so depressed, and people do get tired of it very fast. And sometimes I kind of come in like a hair on the soup, you know? Like I'm not aware of the context, and I'm like, yo guys, can you be like a little nicer to him? And then the Discord tells me, no, Rima, you don't understand. He's done this like several times already, or he does this all the time. Then it's like, well, okay, if he's done this all the time, then I understand why you guys are less patient with him. No, it's still, don't worry, I'm just worried he'll flip out as all. Why would he flip out? Is it because he's my dad? I guess because he wants me and Ruby together. Wait, I thought you and Ruby are, you know. Yeah, it's so complicated at this point, I don't know what we are. Like, we're not dating, but she still loves me and wants to meet me, etc. I really need to sit down, almost write down all this shit. Okay, now let's take a look at the transcript. So this is the transcript. Now, for those of you who don't know, it was a pretty integral part of the channel. He was someone who used to do all the male voices. We split editing 50-50. He was mostly responsible for series like Handplates and that kind of thing. I'm not sure. Most of you know who he is. We went our separate ways around September last year, but we didn't officially announce that the split was amicable. This is pretty much what the intro told us. I found out that they'd invade a manipulator. I hesitate to use this word because it sounds really aggressive, but I think he's a predator. I think he's dangerous, and the reason I wanted to make this video is because I wanted to warn you guys, because I feel partially responsible that I didn't say anything until now, and that I didn't share about what happened until now and go in depth as to why. There's a pattern of emotional abuse, there's a pattern of manipulation, there's a pattern of him trying to get young girls to sleep with, and I'd like to say at this point, I really don't want to hurt anybody. I really don't even like him. I don't want anything to happen to him. The only reason I want to do this is because I think people are still being hurt, and I really want to shoulder that responsibility of sharing with you guys what happened. Vade has hurt me a lot personally. I'm sure I've hurt him a lot personally, but I'm going to try very, very hard to be objective, and I want to say right now, if I'm not objective, which I'm going to try very hard to be, I want you to tell me what I did wrong. I don't want to make anyone who's sharing their story in this video uncomfortable. Anything that has been shared with permission. I've never done or gathered anything that nobody wanted me to gather. There were a few people who I tried to speak to with this video. They told me to fuck off, and I left, you know, which I think that's what I should be doing. If I'm trying to do an objective and fair video, I fully expect him to retaliate in some way, and I expect him to kind of put the dirt on me to a degree. I think he's probably gonna come at me for a lot of stuff. I have an icon. I honestly don't really know what he would come at me for, but I want to preemptively say that if he makes a response video to this and it's mainly focused on me, I think that's incredibly wrong because it's not about me, it's not about what happened. So I'm really gonna go in depth about it, blah blah blah. Okay, I'm just gonna try to find the like relevant parts. What pushed me to make this video? I received an email and the person who sent the email would like to remain anonymous. I'm not going to name them. They lit a Discord group that they also asked that I keep private, so I'm not going to share the name of that Discord group or anything like that. Basically, the person wrote to me and I'll include it. It's a screenshot I have of the email with everything blurred out. So the first thing he did, there was an incident in my apartment. I'll go in depth about that later in this video. Is going to be structured in 3 parts. From what I can tell so far, I'm going to have what I call the Ruby saga. I'm going to have what happened in my apartment, and I'm going to have what he's doing right now, so I'm going to go chronologically. Okay, I've done several interviews with different people who are affected by this, and that will be included in the video. Let's get started with the Ruby saga, okay? So let's get into the Ruby saga. I've already identified the people who are in the Ruby saga, but the Ruby saga doesn't actually start with Ruby. I want to start from the first relationship I can 100% confirm, which is a young girl named Pony Brony. From what I can confirm, started dating around Thanksgiving or a little bit before, and they broke up a little bit around Christmas 2016. Pony Bernie was 14, Vade was 16, almost 17. So this is already a bit of a red flag to me because she's very young and the relationship really didn't last long. It probably didn't last long for that reason, no? Can't confirm specifically what that date is he broke up with. I want to read it for you guys so you can tell me what you think and get to your own conclusion. From there, so he says, hey, sorry for not responding, but I need to talk to you. Okay, so she's reading an exchange between them now. Sorry for not responding, but I need to talk to you basically for a while. I've been trying my best to see you in the way that you see me, but it's difficult. And I think I'm getting to that point where no matter what I try to do is going to change the way I feel. Basically, it's mostly because the way you are makes it hard for me to see you as my girlfriend. I do love you. I never would have lied about that, but I think I do so less as a boyfriend, always more as a father figure or older brother. I care for you immensely, but romantically, I really can't force myself in that way. It's also due to how you can't date someone who isn't religious, and that in a sense, what the fuck is this word? Dibonates me because there's no way I'm becoming Christian. Okay, this is like a transcript, YouTube caption mishaps. I just disagree with everything about it. And organized religion as a concept, the gist of the situation is if we stay together, I'll get frustrated by you not wanting. If we stay together, I'll get frustrated by you not wanting to put out sexually or to commit to a relationship without the need to become religious. Because of this, I'll want to spend less time with you, and you're going to start to resent me for that, and in doing so, will want to spend more time with me, will make me resent you. Even more, it's not going to be good, and for that reason, I'd like to break things off clean. I know it's upsetting, but the truth is, this was going to happen eventually, so I'd rather happen sooner than later to lessen the heartbreak. I do care for you immensely, but I can't force myself to put out this much. I need to consider myself above the welfare of others. I hope you understand, and yeah, I'd love to still be friends after this, but I understand if you'd rather not talk anymore. Keep in mind, this is the message that he sent to a 14-year-old girl, so I had my friend who has a back in psychology to take a look at this message. And okay, this is pretty much what the doc said. I mean, I feel like at least he's honest, and he's right that it would have happened eventually. So it's better that he doesn't now. Actually, I feel like he's pretty communicative about it, even though he was kind of blunt about the not putting out sexually part. Okay, so there she's getting like her friend in psychology opinion that her friend in psychology thinks it's mental manipulation, etc. And like he's kind of pinning it on her because of the religion thing. Like he's using the religion as an excuse. I mean, there's always an excuse to breaking up, and religion does it can impact a relationship. Like, you can't just ignore that. So I don't know if I totally agree with her friend psychologist like assessment. And plus I hate people that are like studying in a field and they call themselves somebody, like, okay, it's like somebody studying to become a doctor and they call themselves a doctor, or studying psychology so you call yourself a psychologist. Because a lot of the time in professional work, like a lot of your experience, you get it by actually working in the field, not studying in college. Okay, so Ruby and Vade began dating in early to mid-December, and I don't know for sure if he was cheating on Pony with Ruby, since neither of them have really concrete dates for me. It was either like a few days after he broke up with Pony, or it was at the same time. Well, I'll go ahead and let Ruby share how they met. Dining was telling me, oh yeah, they either got dumped his girlfriend, stuff like that. I was like, oh no, that's so sad. And so I was like, I must go cheer up fellow voice actor, because I like to make people feel better. And so I was messaging him. I was like, oh, I'm sorry to hear, and so on. He was like, oh, just like, I just wish girls would be more honest and just say if they feel a certain way. And someone's just so frustrating. That was like the most nonchalant way possible. I was like, dude, if it is any consolation, I kind of like you. You're pretty, like, you're pretty suave. You're pretty sexy. Like, I'm down with the sickness. What? But you know, if that's the kind of, I don't know if I'm down with the sickness is an auto like caption mistake or just a 2016 like expression. But you know, if that's the kind of honest do you want, but there, you know, I wasn't expecting anything from it. And he was like, I like you too. And I'm like, the fuck? And then we sort of started dating from here. And he was like, do you want it? Okay, at this point, I also wanted to bring it to the existence of this other girl, Pink. Now, Pink has spoken to Danny, who is this friend of Ruby's, and confessed that she had a crush on Vade around the same time, Ruby and Vade's, and started dating Pink. I understand confessed if why I don't know why this part, the auto caption transcript, is so bad. When they started dating, so I'll go ahead and let Ruby explain what happened with that. And I found out where I found out, and then I ended it. But why do they say found out 3 times? I found out that he had been messaging this whole relationship saying, oh, I really, really want to be with you. I am so in love with you, and so on. I only said because I was about to ask Carol to around the same time. And I did so. It was basically first come, first serve with. And he said, oh, if you'd asked first, I would have totally said yes to you. I just say yes to Ruby because she's so hot. And so like this whole relationship, he was like, oh, I love you more. I'm gonna dump her today, and so on. And then she's like, well, why? I said, oh, it just wasn't the right time, you know? Just like the stereotypical bullshit. Danny also gave me a really illuminating piece of information about that. I'll go ahead and share that. Here she was an artist time that she was talking to him. She had a crush on him. Like, she was talking about the crush a lot. And I had to like tell her like, oh, hey, Rufy and Vader, I guess this means Vader, dating. And she looked really kind of worried, but she kind of just kept quiet about it. And I was like, okay. I got a message by during the time, and he was like, listen, I need you. And the call right now is freaking out, like she needs somebody to talk to, and I don't know what to do. And so I jump on talking about the guy, and she's like basically hitting on another girl that she's friends with. And I'm just like, oh, okay. She's like, okay, so I get it. I think I get it. He's dating one girl because she was forward with her emotions with him first. But then he tells the other girl, if you had asked me out before she did, I would have rather dated you. So, and then he tells girl 2 that he's gonna dump girl 1 because he likes girl 2 more. Because guys are like that. They kind of just get the first person that is nice to them. But then he's trying to get like the best out of both worlds. So it's like a high school drama. This is what I'm getting from this. But then I guess it's hard to understand the transcript. So I'm not 100% on this. But I think then one of the girls like heard that or figured out that this guy that she likes is also dating / flirting with one of her friends, so she starts freaking out. Like from this part, this is what I gathered. She's like, apparently he either dated her or like they were like flirting, and it really hurt his, and it was then I kind of put the piece together, and I was like, wait, were you anything with this guy? And she was like, yeah, like I thought we had something together. And I was just like, oh my gosh, okay, this guy. And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, Ruby and her dating right now. Okay, so like, I guess now they're figuring it out. I'm like, okay, Ruby and her are dating right now. And she said that he said that they weren't dating anymore. No, they're dating. I was just like, okay, that's not good. So apparently, well, he and for a thing he was flirting with his friend, and all the meeting while he's dating Ruby, Pink's friend that Danny is referencing in that clip, is a girl named Olisa. So from what I understand and from what I can fully piece together, Vade was flirting with Leah. Shit, there's a new name now. With Leah while dating Ruby, while also semi-dating Pink. So there was a kind of three-way cheating going on. Oh shit, this guy had a harem. So now at this point, I kind of want to focus on the manipulation tactic that he used with the two of them, because he had this way of painting the woman he was dating as obsessive and crazy, as overly emotional. So anyway, all that Ruby explained about how he kept the two of them away from each other. Wow. It's like when I played that game of CK3 and I had like my harems and my concubine, and my character was getting stressed out because he had to manage too many relationships. Do you guys remember that playthrough? He very deliberately pit me against each other when we were together. He would say, oh, keeps messaging me and I keep having to oh, okay. So he would try to pit them against each other. He would say, oh, this girl keeps messaging me and I keep having to comfort her, and she still likes me and is trying to get me to dump you to be with her. So like off of it, he very cleverly kept us from not communicating, and he was obviously with the whole thing of like, oh, I want to be with you. Then was Robin, so like, she's very emotional, she overreacted to everything. I said that, you know, I was never cheating on her, I was never talking to anybody else during this, but she blew up in my face and yada yada. So obviously after this, the relationship ended, and after it ended, Vade sent her this message on January 26th. I got this message from him. I know you hate me, I moved on, ignored that, but I want to tell you something that I didn't get to tell you when you decided to leave. Okay, I don't understand this part, so I'm just gonna skip over it. You deserve to know, I know my words might not mean much, if anything at all, but I still do care about you and want to leave you with a piece of advice, because I worry that your future relationship might suffer a lot because of this, as well as I know it's a touchy subject for you to deal with, but I do respect a great deal. I think you have to address Danny too, but mostly you are more melodramatic and take things much too far too personally. I'm not acting as though you reacted inappropriately to the way I treated you. It made perfect sense to me. But there were times when you became overly sensitive and did lash out pretty often. I think the most notable example, and honestly didn't expect such an emotional response. I've been to different people with similar issues and never really had this kind of response before. This is to him saying, oh, I've been dating her a month and I don't love her anymore. What I do know, you can't help it when you get too emotional. When you get emotional, but as a person who also has some bad insights, I do have to put my fears and anxieties aside. Sometimes for people I really want to, I don't know who's saying that to who, so there's like no point in reading that, even though it'd be interesting to read. A bigger love triangle than Twilight. I mean, the cheating, the love triangle is shitty behavior if it's true. It's shitty behavior, but it's not a crime. It's not like the big allegations that they said at the beginning of the video, so I'm still waiting for that. And the other thing I'm wondering is like, why did Starbot delete the video? Is it because she got some information wrong? Is it because you know why? It could be many reasons. Bro has a harem of Menheras? Probably. I feel like indie VTubers get cancelled for less very often. Like this would be cancelable material for an indie VTuber. Like we've seen last year, we saw, I think, 2 people get cancelled because of similar reasons. I can't remember their name. It does feel like, you know, when there's somebody that gets very popular online, there's a lot of women that flock around him, especially when they do this kind of content. And then they're just like, oh my god, I'm getting so much attention. And they want to have their cake and eat it too. They don't want to choose. Okay, so now it's like the second part of her video where there's a girl, she wants to remain anonymous. We're gonna call her Pink. Pink did say I could share this screenshot about what happened when the relationship ended, and I also have the clip that the Danny shared earlier about how Pink was really broken up about Vade and how Vade had kind of used her. So I think this is like a bunch of girls coming out of like shitty relationship. They got played and they're kind of retaliating with this. I mean, it sucks that they went through this. Like, shitty relationships suck and they can really hurt somebody, but at the same time, it's not a crime, you know? It's not, we're still not at the level of the heavy accusations that were levied in the intro. But then again, we really haven't read much of the doc because we have to scour through all the evidence ourselves. Otherwise, I just have to take the dog at face value. Anyway, so Pink is really broken up about her ended relationship with Vade. And she says, I really want someone to just love me back like I did for them, and I think Vade could see that. Yes, he did say he loves me, but I'm still unsure that if that's friendship or love. But I keep holding on to that feeling if it's romantic though. I was literally convinced everything he said on how much he tries to think about it when he said how much he loved me, etc. But in the end, I had the same fate as Ruby, and he actually moved on from that girl, and I felt my emotions were played on, and I thought that we'll get through this together. But it turns out it's not. As for the rest of he doesn't feel the same, and I can't tell you because I don't want you to think of it differently. What they did was really fucked up. But just like this person, I still do love Vade after everything he did to me. And that's kind of a pattern I saw, is that these women, still a few of them, to a degree, still really loved him after everything he did to them. That's insane. Yo, just got here, so what I miss? Is Vox being a free bait and going hard on the BFE? Oh, how could this end badly? This is kind of what I'm realizing now, is that basically he's always been like this. He's always been kind of like sexually suggestive, really like, how do we describe this kind of personality? It's almost like he's a host club person. Like, I guess he's really good at talking to women and telling them what they want to hear. But like, the women he's getting are also all like emotionally unstable menheras, and they're also really young. Like, I'm gonna give them a break and say that they're also really young. Because he's a smooth talker, he's very good at playing it off like it's your fault, and he's always the victim and you're always a perpetrator. I want to show these two clips from Danny and Ruby that kind of go more in depth with. They're probably selected for a specific reason too. Perhaps he's manipulative, and I think at that age you don't necessarily have the tools or the experience to tell yourself like, this person's lying to me, because most people would tell you the truth up until now. So here in the video, Starbutt says that it feels like he can use people however he wants, and so when it doesn't go this way, he's like, oh, now I have to orchestrate this whole thing, and it's this one person's fault, or just, oh, woe me. Me is now at this point I want to shift to Pink's friend Leah. I'm sure a lot of you who have been on the channel to a degree know about Leah VA. So these are all like internet people. So they're all already like, probably don't have the best social skills, and it's like, it's a shit show. It looks like a shit show. The last relationship was a lot less dramatic in the sense, but you know, in the beginning of the Ruby saga, we had a three-way cheating going on. The only thing that the reason that Vade and Leah broke up was because Vade kept pressuring Leah for sex, and Leah said no, to the point that they'd say, okay, fine, I'm done with this, and the two of them broke up. Bro, dude is a gooner. She's like, what, 17-year-old gooner at this point? I want to focus on with Leah and Vade, because I'm not gonna go into much detail about their relationship, because that one I wanted to focus on is the message he sent her when they broke up, and I'll go ahead and read that for you guys right now. She says, I was looking for a more wholesome, emotionally invested kind of relationship, and Vade responds, I think that it's amazing that you want to look for that in a relationship, and if that makes you happy, you should pursue it, absolutely. But all I will tell you is that kind of love is rare, and when you find it, it may very well last you for the rest of your life. See, I think this is where you're going to have to make a sacrifices, because I recall at the start of the year, you were saying maybe this year I won't be single, and how you've been lonely for a long time. That's okay, but I think wanting for a relationship so badly is going to come with a compromise, which is usually going to fall into the category of sex. The short answer is either you're going to get lucky, or you'll have to sacrifice your refusal of sex or relationships entirely. I want to be very clear here in highlighting that was sent to a 15-year-old girl when he refuted. Oh, when she refused to sleep with him. Now this is just a little sidetrack that doesn't really fit into any of the three chronological parts that I wanted to outline. Okay. That is a very pragmatic answer. It all makes sense now that he's a Fujo baiter. I don't care about what he does. I'm just here for the drama. Not gonna lie, these accusations are like whack, right? But reading this is like I am watching a telenovela. I am watching a train wreck. Okay, I wanna get over this transcript. I feel like reading this is a little boring. Let's just look for the part that happened in her apartment. Okay, I think we're here. Apartment, Thanksgiving, She describes this as a very traumatic event that happened at her apartment. It was traumatic for her. It was traumatic for her friend, who I'm gonna call Green because she doesn't want her name shared. And Vade just had gone on these public discourse and is just blatantly shaming her and lying and telling a different story that happened. And that's kind of a wide degree. That's what pushed me to make the video. It's because we're not there to defend ourselves and is the one who's sharing basically and lying about really private information. I'm not the one who shared this first. I want to make that very clear. I'm gonna go ahead and share this with you guys. Okay. So I guess he probably attacked them first in Discord. This is what I'm getting from this transcript. He probably attacked them first and said it looks like he made some allegations on Green. Probably because she was an adult and he wasn't at the time. And they're making this video in response to that. I'm going to show you a screenshot where Vade confesses to being the instigator. Dude, I wish we had that video because now we cannot see that screenshot. And it's actually an important screenshot here. I want to make that very, very clear. Vade confessed to being the instigator. Now we have to take her word for it though. He never at any point to me or to her, because he knew it wouldn't get him very far, came up with this excuse. If she came on to me, no, that's probably too much information because I haven't shared the story with you guys yet. So I'll go ahead and share my perspective because I was there, and then I'll share Green's perspective, and then I'll share with you what Vade was saying in these public discourse. I will show you the screenshots that show that he is a liar. Again, I'm really gonna try to be objective, but this is probably the part where it's gonna be really hard for me. So my friend Green and Vade were both over in my apartment during the summertime. We both had a cuts off. We all had a little bit of drink. Vade had, from what I remember, Vade had a lot less alcohol, and my friend's a little flirty when she's drunk. So I pulled him aside and I said, hey, you've got a lot less alcohol. She's never gonna initiate anything. She's just really flirty when she's drunk. Don't get the wrong idea. I do not do anything. I'm gonna go take a shower and I'm gonna be right back. So I go and take a shower and I come back and he's pinned her to the floor and he's making out with her. So I pulled him off each other and put both of them to bed. What? Wait, that's the worst idea. Why are you putting them both to bed? In the same bed? And I'm like, I'll deal with this in the morning. I go downstairs to get a smoothie. I came back upstairs and he's pulled her out of the bedroom that I put her to bed in, and he's trying to convince her to sleep with him. Oh, okay, they're in two different bedrooms. No, they're in two different bedrooms. Yeah, because he's trying, in this description, he's trying to pull her out of the bedroom that she put her in, and he's trying to convince her to sleep with him. And from what she has told me, and from what he's kind of told me, she has an anxiety problem, and he was kind of taking advantage of that. How can you... Dude, what do you mean you have an anxiety problem and you're taking advantage of that? I have an anxiety problem. Doesn't it cause the opposite effect that you don't want to do things if you're anxious? Oh, okay, yeah, I remember now. They're blaming the anxiety. Okay, they're saying that he took advantage of her anxiety problem because he was trying to convince her to have the sex with him by saying your anxiety is gonna say this isn't fine, but it is fine. You need to do this with me, and like no matter what I'm on your side, and fuck Steph. I guess Steph is the girl doing the video, Starbot, and all this kind of thing. And if you know, it's not the fuck star that I have a problem with, it's the anxiety, and I'm gonna tell you it's not fine to do this. I mean, I don't want to go into too much emotional detail because it doesn't have any place here, but I just thought you guys should know that that's the kind of thing he was saying to her. I'm gonna go ahead and share her testimony. Actually, I'm just gonna put it on the screen for you guys because I don't think I can read this. Okay, well, that doesn't help us if she just puts it on the screen and she doesn't read it. I'm sure that Vade is going to bring up the fact that he's brought it up before when he went on a public discourse trashing her and telling her it was her fault. He was 17 at the time and she was 20, but I want to be very clear, he was the initiator here. He admits to being the initiator here, and I'll show you that screenshot in a second. And he was the one pushing things to go further. She's the one who said no and that she didn't want this, so I want to go ahead and transition to part 3. Wait, we're not in part 3 yet. What? With is his current behavior now? I have the screenshot I'm gonna read for you guys, which is what he was saying in a Discord that was a public forum. People were reading this, you know. He goes, everything was fantastic. I flew to America to go to MagFest. Me and everyone stayed at her apartment for a while. I was doing very well. Then in May I was invited over again, living her best life, and it bears worth mentioning that her best friend, who did not ask to be named, he used her real name here, which first of all, that's doxing. She didn't. Oh, so this is where the doxing allegations come from. I thought the person that wrote the doc, they're the one who called it doxing, but Starbot is actually the one that calls it doxing first. Yeah, you do not deserve the ability to put her real name there, that her best friend Green was staying over at the time. And he goes on to say that Green is very emotionally dependent on me. Damn, everybody's really emotionally dependent on him, I guess. You know what? Everybody's very emotionally dependent on Vox. His fan base is very emotionally dependent on him. The 3 women he was having a love triangle with, this 20-year-old girl that he just met. Like, what is this? He's got some insane riz? We decide to get dry and hang out. We're sitting there when suddenly starts getting very cuddly, and I mean very sort of touchy, you know. It also bears worth mentioning, I was 17 at the time, and she was a tall, athletic 20-year-old, okay? I don't know why you include the athletic here first. Well, probably... I think he includes this description so he can make the argument that he couldn't have, like, forcibly pinned her. That's probably why he's including this physical description. He's like, well, she was taller than me and she's athletic. If she didn't want to make out, she probably would have been able to push me back. Does that happen to all? You're the one who initiated the kind of thing. Vade says, and Steph says, if y'all start making out, I'll be mad. We laugh it off. No, that's not what happened. I pulled you aside specifically. I sat you down. I very sternly said not to do anything. I'm just gonna be gone for a little while. You're not as drunk as she is. She's not gonna do anything, so you need not to do anything either. I think it's a joke because I'm too blissed to really understand what's going on at the time. That's Vox, like, / Vade saying that to his Discord. Steph suddenly says, I'm going for a shower. I was not. Suddenly, I told you this before. I went for a shower and leaves. And as soon as she does, Green climbs on top of me and starts out with me. Doesn't ask for a yes, just does it. Okay, so we have like a he say, she says situation here. Right, I'm gonna just interrupt here, and now I'm going to show you guys a screenshot. It's from a conversation that Green and Vade had after this whole thing went down. The screenshot reads, I get that's what made you pissed, and I really didn't know what to do. You know me, I'm terrible at trying to push things in a situation like that. It didn't feel like I was taking advantage of you. It felt like you wanted it, so I thought it was okay. So this is she's reading here a screenshot that's supposed to be him admitting to him being the initiator. Now, I don't know if this is a transcript problem. I don't think this specifically says that he's initiating here. Just that, like, I mean, he thought she was into it, so he carried on. Those were the words she used. Don't take advantage of her. Well, I might be so inexperienced to the point where I might have misread that and done it anyway without meaning. So that's what I mean by that. If I took advantage of you, it was without any kind of ill will or meaning. Oh, this is still him saying that. You're not to blame at all here, and I don't want you to feel like you should have done anything differently. I want to highlight that and read it to you and read it for you one more time. You're not to blame at all here, and I don't want you to feel like you should have done anything differently, he continues to say in this public Discord. And she was nice, so I thought, where's the harm in it? With my first kiss, by the way, that he says, yeah. But anyway, that night we stayed up too late, and new stuff was very angry with us. Okay, there's like a name missing here at the time. I was too drunk to really understand. I just stayed up trying to comfort whose own anxiety was blowing up. Another name missing here. And then he goes, because here's the thing, Green is gay now. I want to go in depth about this. You just publicly outed her in a format where she could not defend herself. Oh, so he's like, oh, whatever, anyway, she's gay now. Oh, that's what it is. Yes, you're right. That's probably the transcript reading it as Steph. So Starbot. Okay. What did I get myself into, man? What did I get myself into? Anyway, so she's gay. So what point would she have to try to initiate anything anyways? He says, so when she's drunk, why does she just go for it, you know, to me? And I've asked my friends about this as well, and they agree it seems like she did it so because she knew I wouldn't be able to resist. And she could spin it in a way that got Steph to hate me because she saw me as a threat to the exclusivity of their relationship. And so he says, see, her answer to that was to limit the work I had to do, one small video per week, and my pay was reduced from 50% to 20%. Here's a screenshot that exonerates that I didn't fire him. I told him afterwards I try to keep my personal professional life separate. We tried very hard to make things work because I did not know things were as bad as they work. I was kind of led astray, and that's one thing I do want to apologize for. I don't know a lot of this stuff, and the way that he was framing what happened that night to me made it seem like maybe we could have kept going. So we tried to joke about it for a while, while we tried to see if things would be okay and we could still work together, and very clearly it didn't work out. Okay, he's like, there it's work stuff after that. And she goes on to say that he's a very flirty person. We knew that at this point. Also found a few screenshots where he talks about dates. He's been getting his dick edged. Getting his dick I don't want to have this mental image. This kind of thing, and it's just sharing that with everybody. I don't really have a problem if you want to share that with everybody, but your Discord is mostly young children. So to me, it's a little creepy. But there's one conversation I wanted to bring forward to you guys, which is between Orange, who is a very young depressed autistic fan, and Vade. Oh, that's the one we read. Okay, I'm skipping over that. All right, well, there you go, guys. I just live reenacted the entire video for you guys. The footage is lost, but you got Rima. Are we free now? No, because now we're back to the Google Doc and we're only at chapter 2. But now I'm emotionally invested in this. I'm like internally crying, but I can't stop. Okay, the blog post. Before diving into Starbot's response, which I technically include too, it's important to address the elephant in the room. Under Lino, known as Tumblr as Fallen Child, please not go harass them. She defended Vox in response to Starbot's video on October 12th. 2018, about a month and 4 days after Starbot's original release. In her Tumblr post, she presumably using she/her pronouns presents 6 counterpoints to Starbot's argument, which I'll paraphrase for brevity. Thank you for your donation, saw you, Ariana. No one talked to his supposed victims. 2. All the screenshots were made on the 5th and 8th of September, and the earliest dates lines up when Vade posted his Patreon, so it was an attempt to defame him. Vox Discord server wasn't public, it was an invite server, so it wasn't actually public. I guess this is a counterclaim to, like, he had a bunch of child in his server. There was no screenshot confirming the alleged relationships, and screenshots can be easily manipulated. Everyone is manipulative, so Vox actions are being largely exaggerated, and Starbot made a much bigger deal of saying Green's first name, claiming that alone isn't doxing, and that most adult women wouldn't care if they were outed. 6. Vox was a minor at the time of the assault, had a rather small frame, and they were both drunk, so no one is at fault here, and even if someone had to be, it would have been Green, as she was 19 when Vox was 17. To link the Underlino's response can be found here. Okay, but we summarized it, so we don't need to look at it, right? Most gay women wouldn't care if they were outed. Okay, lol. Yeah, I don't know about that. There's definitely some moral, like what blurs the line for me is that Green was the adult in this situation. So that does make everything more complicated. The only witness that we have here is Starbot, aka Steph. So we have to take her word for it. Otherwise, it's a he said, she said situation. Aside from the fact that a lot of what Underlino said is objectively wrong from a legal and social standpoint, it does give a small insight into a few things that the script couldn't give, such as the quote, they were both drunk, but the minor got the blame. In all the screenshots that Vade talks about, he sounds constantly shamed about it, like he has to take fault because he's a boy. This quote tells the reader that at some point in the video, a screenshot clip was posted where Vox admitted to what he did to Green. That's the screenshot we read out, right? But that we didn't see. See, it was actually helpful that I went through the transcript. Not in the server where he allegedly lied about everything, but most likely in DMs with Starbutt or one of his former close friends. Thankfully, we don't need to break down each point and talk about how wrong they are, because in November of 2018, Starbutt did that for us. In November 2018, Starbutt Dubs posted a blog post on Tumblr as a short follow-up to her video 2 months prior. The post was only archived the first time some months later, leading to some images not being properly preserved, but ones that matters were preserved, such as evidence of the cheating allegations. So we're gonna have some screenshots. This took place in early 2017 when he was between the age of 16 and 17. If the information from browsing through different websites Vox had used in the past is valid. I'm sure of the validity of these users on these fan fiction, and they are directly linked by Starbutt in several of the video Vox voiced in. The previous link provided can be seen in the description of these following videos for those who wish to see that they were publicly available via Starbutt's channel. And another thing, according to Starbutt, in her first follow-up Tumblr post, she had mentioned that Vox would repeatedly slander me to other people in public discords and would trash me anywhere he got the opportunity to. He was very bitter about me not allowing him on the channel, which I suppose I understand, but he quit in the first place, so I don't know why he couldn't let it go. Yeah, we read that. He would tell people that I was a horrible person who oppressed his creativity and ran the channel like a czar. She would end up debunking this in the succeeding sentences, but I felt it necessary to include this here as the video did not mention the slander behind the scenes as much. I mean, if the 3 women were out and he was a minor... No. There's only... No. Okay, the 3 women were minors. He was a minor while he was dating them. For them, that's a separate thing. There's cheating allegations for that one. Now, for the other thing, this is a SA allegation that's separate, and it's between him and Green was the adult. There's like multiple allegations with different women. She would end up debunking this in the succeeding sentences, but I felt it necessary to include this here as the video did not mention the slander behind the scenes as much. Yeah, but we read that Tumblr post already. Okay. Section of the artist manipulation. So I guess this is going to be the part about how he like flirted with people to get free art. This is like a mashup of all the Google Docs I've ever read in my life. This last section is dedicated to the artist side of it, and we're diving for evidence. We found even more evidence of Vox allegedly being rude, degrading, and disrespectful towards artists, especially women. You know, one thing, when he says that he will tell people that I was a horrible person who oppressed his creativity and ran a channel like a czar, for some reason, I just can't keep on thinking about when he did that ASMR roleplay video where he pretended that he was being like attacked or was having a panic attack, and his fans got really upset about it. And then after that he was like, you guys are being parasocial about this. I have the right to be creative on my channel, and this is important to me. I don't know why that's what popped up in my mind. I don't know if it's valid or I'm schizoing out. I'm just saying it made me think of that. That's it. One has to wonder, does Niji have some kind of super power of picking out all the ticking time bombs out of all their applicants? I know it's not their fault, but Jesus Christ, it's like a curse. I don't know, dude. That dude was already farming before. Look at how he's making everywhere he walks, he makes the women crazy about him. So, of course it's happening now again when he's popular. He gets to do that, but on a huge platform. As for the ticking time bomb thing, I don't know, because he's barely been streaming. If you watch like Parrot's last video, I think you show some stats, right? And he's like one of the people that has been like streaming the least, right? According to multiple users in this thread, Vox degrades them for being female and treats them horribly. Since summarizing the entire debacle would take ages, I've decided to share some key screenshots directly from the website. These images capture the critical points and developments, allowing for a clearer understanding of the issues at hand without the need for a lengthy summary. You're not the only artist that I've done this stuff to. Every artist I know that has been on here has said that It's been but a living nightmare. Honestly, they need to be reported for this repetitive bad behavior. Another one I know is Vade. Many artists had similar problems with him. Also, female artists and voice actors that have worked with him have said that he degrades them for being female and treats them horribly. So far, the only dubbers I know that have been nice and accommodating to their artists have been Shattuck Productions, but she hasn't been doing any comics dub as of late on her channel and has been primarily focusing on games, so shrug. I'm well aware of it. Only artist who I think respect him is 8 the Cat. I guess he thinks I'm a guy because he didn't at first treat me shitty, but as time goes on he kind of treated me different. Kind of been shitty with me and dragging me around because he insisted me changing the chapter 0 pages into the PNGs, but I can't because it isn't possible. Those files are broken and no longer work, so JPEG is all I have, and I told him, hey, 2 all-nighters are good people. Well, that's good to know actually. I tried to ask for voice clips from these guys. Great, another YouTube channel company doing stupid shit that questions on whether this is legit or not. I'll only use them to find interesting Undertale comics. I would recommend Vade, but he had some controversies in the past with Starbud dubs. I'm unsure if even he's legit or not. 1. Don't ask Sans Comic TV to do a voice clip, they will never do it. And they're not legit, never ever were legit, I know. Ha, Vade is a joke. He still hasn't given me a clear direction on what I should do to send in my comic pages to him, so I assume if no one else suggests a comic on his Discord server, I think he's not wanting to do the dub anymore. Okay, well, that is like you're just trusting some like random comments on forums, like some hater comment. You can find somebody hating on anybody online. I don't know if it's it's not very strong. This is not very strong evidence. So yeah. Okay, anyway, the community's reaction. After the video was made public on YouTube, people did not take all this information lightly. Many of Vox's former friends were quick to condemn him, including Max out of 10, Hawker the Gary, fan groups for handplays on Amino, and even fan artists on DeviantArt. Even Vox replacement, referring to the VA who took over most of the male voices that Vox had left behind, had made his comments on the matter in 2022. With all of this evidence, response, and former friends dropping him left and right, the biggest question on everyone's mind at the time was, when will Vade make a response? Well, he didn't. As Starbuck predicted in her first follow-up thread on Tumblr, Vade is not making a response video, nor do I think he ever will be. However, despite not making a video, that doesn't mean he didn't try to cover things up. As stated in the video itself, he lied on his public Discord server and claimed that everything from the kissing to the almost sex was consensual, even going as far as to say that Green took his first kiss. Oh, that's what the screenshot said. I was trying to read the transcript, but it was like kind of messed up. Okay, so he says that she took his first kiss. He also mentioned that she was a lesbian, and most importantly, he used Green's real name. Since Green's name was censored in the video because she did not want her name tied to all of this, and Vox used it despite that, then what he did was doxing. People forget, is it her real name? Yeah, it's her real name. It's stated there. People forget that doxing isn't always just an IP address. Any information that an individual deems as private getting exposed with malicious intent is doxing. Furthermore, the claims that underline AU made it in their Tumblr post in defense of Vox are not just wrong, but they're extremely cruel. They claim that they shouldn't be as affected by Vox saying her real name and sexuality because Starbutt made sure to get unreasonably upset over her friends being outed. First name only, which is not a solid identifier as this person is not mentioned anywhere, to as little as 15 people. Well, it depends, Vox probably wouldn't like to have his first name outed either. Like, if you're somebody with a target on their back, giving people any kind of clue as to your IRL life, including the first name, can be a way for them to narrow it down and find you. So, it's probably not full doxing. It was probably maybe just to 15 people, but I think it's still pretty bad. It's not something you want to do, that's for sure. Well, I find it doubtful that an adult woman has any problem letting people know she's gay. Not only is this incredibly insensitive and homophobic, it's also just objectively wrong. This took place in 2018, and unlike now, LGBT rights were not as secure they are today. This document was starting in 2024 and finished in 2025. Things are subject to change. Gay marriage were outlawed until 2015. Okay, this is too much yada yada. As for the doxing rehash, even saying someone's first name when they specifically want this information private is an example of if I had name drops Vox's actual name at any point in time in this document, that would be doxing. It was clear Green wanted her name to be private and Vox intentionally disregarded and violated that boundary. Doxing or not, it's just a disrespectful thing to do no matter what, but it is doxing, end of story. Aside from lying and slandering both Green and Starbutt behind her back, Vox never really made a public response. So how would Vox recover from this? No, oh no, it's not Vox. This person is accusing Vox of doxing somebody's first name in a private Discord that was invite only. I don't know how many people were in that Discord. What does I am gay have anything to do with any of these? So Vox tried to defend himself from the allegations that he was like pressuring a girl into doing things with him. And so he said, no, but actually she's older than me. She was the adult in this situation. She was taller than me. She was athletic. And anyway, she's gay. So I'm not sure how that would... I'm not sure how that would make it so she would initiate the advances onto him. Doesn't it prove like the opposite, that like if she's gay then she wouldn't have done that? But anyway, what does gay marriage have to do with anything? That was like the Google Doc were debating on semantics, kind of going over a tangent because somebody else came up and defended Vade in this scenario, saying that it doesn't matter if he told people that Green is a lesbian and he outed her because most people wouldn't care if they were outed as being gay. And then the Google Doc writer is like, no, that's not true. You know, gay marriage, it was outlawed. Some people still don't like gay people. This was back then. This is a different time, etc., etc. Before we talk about how Vox became Vox, we need to discuss the result of the falling out that happened. Vox already had a fanfiction.net account linked with most, if not every comic dub he was credited with on Starbutt's channels. When he left, the question would arise of what would happen to all the series that he dubbed. However, the answer came before the drama had even appeared. On June 2nd, 2018, although the channel was made on January 31st, 2016, its first upload, at least when you look at this channel as of making this document, was made about 2.5 years later. This channel, that was called Vade at the time but would be changed to Kalisto, supposedly on July 11, uploaded Undertale comic dubs exclusively. The only exception were when he dubbed 2 Star Wars comic. Okay, I don't care about like his work biography. It's not exactly certain when his last upload was or when his stream started, but by using a proper backlog, we were able to find the closest thing to an announcement of a name change. On July 11, 2021, Vox, under the name Kalisto at the time, and using that account, posted a video titled Moving Forward. Similar to Starbutt's deleted About Vade video, only the script, statistic, and description are available. Oh my god! There's no videos alive. I'm not reading another transcript. I'm not ready to go through this again, guys. I'm not ready to... Thankfully, the video is only 9 minutes. Oh, thank god. Okay, and the links to check out that script will be in chapter 5, part of the appendix. But to summarize, in the video, Vox describes his new identity as Kalisto, an alien that needs to learn human behaviors before he's allowed to socialize on Earth, and wants to learn human behaviors by being a VTuber. Discusses his conflict as Vade and his mental health and how he wants to move on and do greater things, and that if you, the listener, would like to join, that would make him super happy and grateful. The video itself was recorded, according to Kalisto in the video, on July 10th and uploaded the next day on July 11, 2021. The timeline between July 20th, his supposed start to his daily streams, and December 20th, 2021, which is Luxium debut, is largely unknown. We can most likely presume that either A, he streamed every day until his debut, or B, he didn't stream at all because he got accepted, or C, he streamed on and off and switched to Luxium when it was time, but we know that he had at least intended the stream as he had commissioned someone for his stream alerts. The person he commissioned was Cycle of Fates, and he had everything to go from the offline screen to the overlay to the logos, all which we can be found on VCorp's JP's in the website. Also, that's Kalisto and the VTuber. Completed project, offline screen, Kalisto overlay, logo. Okay. Yeah, there is a lot of useless information. I think why they included that part, because they're trying to link all the accounts together and they're trying to give proof as to, you know, Vade is Kalisto, etc. is being Vox. I think that's what they're adding that. Around 10 months ago, the allegation from Vox PL resurfaced from this video. Yes, I remember that.
Okay, let me give you guys a recap, alright? Some of you guys...
This video goes over a lot of stuff we've discussed here, but from what I can find, Vox hasn't responded to it. The closest thing we could find as a response to the allegation of his current identity was his mentioning it in the stream from 2 years ago. I'm curious now. So that begs the question, what has Vox been getting up to under his current alias? Chapter 7, Vox Behavior. In this section, we want to record some of the behavior Vox has done at his current identity. Is there like new stuff, bad stuff that he's done? As well as counter arguments to our document. We're doing this because we want to show that based, like, see if there is proof or evidence that he's continued this behavior today on his new persona, that would be a problem. That would really be a problem. As well as counter arguments to our document. We're doing this because we want to show that based on the behavior seen in his current identity, it's very likely that he hasn't changed, but also because even if the allegations are proven true, some fans may still be inclined to defend him if his current identity is clean. The main reason is that a lot of fans, both in and out of Niji, still believe that underlying AU's defense of Vox is damning evidence that all the allegations are false. Really? I feel like that person's defense was like kind of weak, and how many eyes even got onto this? Anyway, which couldn't be further from the truth. Starbutt responded to them herself in full and disproved the evidence of Vox. So that's it, basically. It's all the allegations come from the Starbutt era, and there hasn't been other stuff on Kalisto. I thought there'd be more. But most importantly, even if you take all the allegations we mentioned out of the picture, he still has done some pretty questionable actions in Niji. Alright, let's hear it. What is it? What is it? So let us reiterate. If you believe that Vox is innocent only because of one person coming out to defend him, okay, you don't need to reiterate. We just read that. Rather than the plenty of people, including former friends who all saw the evidence themselves, who came out to condemn him, that is a dismissal of evidence and not a great way to form your own opinion. You're allowed to believe Vox is innocent if that is the conclusion you reach, but it should not be because of underline AU and her spotty defense of him. And one other thing, underline AU is supposed to read as underline AU. My chat already told me that, which was Vox's first comic dub as Vade on Starbutt's dubs channel. It would make perfect sense that someone like underline AU would come out of the woodwork to defend him. Otherwise, the comic he voiced would be tainted. Oh, they're related to the comic he voiced. Okay, that in mind. It may not be the main reason underline AU did that, but there is no doubt that bias is held in that Tumblr post. Okay, yeah, I could see that. I could see that connection. I follow. Everything in this section will be findable on... I feel like this person is not writing a Google Doc. They're writing a YouTube script and they're like building up the tension, and I'm just waiting. I'm waiting. I'm waiting. Where's the big thing? Where's the big thing? Everything in this section will be findable on both public domain and well-documented links. It will be structured in two parts. The public, documentable behavior Vox has exhibited in the past as his current alias, and the response to all possible counter-argument that our document has. Bye, Kenshiro. Thanks for hanging out. Vox documentable behavior. Let's discuss the present-day Vox Akuma and his current identity. He has engaged in some questionable actions. We will look into these moments and explore why they are considered questionable and frowned upon. What about, you know, stuff that he's done correlating to the allegation that we're making in the introduction? I want to see that. I want to see that. Screw the black screen, we already know that. Regardless of whether or not that's possible violation will be pursued, the level of carelessness toward a very important legal document is a liability to any company, yes. But that is not the only questionable action Vox has made on the stream. There were many things that Vox had said which were either manipulative attempts or just blatant lying. One prominent example was Vox saying at 9 minutes leaving Nijisanji is always an option for livers. Oh, we know that sentence because that's been severely memed on. Not only is this false, but it's disrespectful to the fact that he later says that he was willing to graduate alongside Selen, which wouldn't be possible under Nijisanji and thus would be an attempt to look better than he is. as many users on Reddit took to notice, all of the tactics Vox Akuma uses on his stream are direct traits of narcissism. Narcissism, yes. To half paraphrase, half quote the main points of the post, he uses tactics such as emotional manipulation, guilt tripping, and excessive praise. All of these traits can be found along with a whole bunch of other psychological tactics that we will discuss at length in different parts of the video. I think general comment on like the Google Doc stuff. I don't know if I like when they do like the pseudo psychologist thing. That's not super convincing to me. Even later in this video, he discusses Delenn secretly recording his voice without his consent and not telling him. In that statement, he remarks the real issue here, however, is that someone I trusted and consider a friend not only recorded me in secret, but also that these recordings were held without my knowledge for an entire year, yada yada yada. This uses all 3 tactics listed, but another tactic he used a lot is called the foot in the door technique. It's a compliance tactic where someone tries to get someone to do or believe something by starting with something small. In this example, his small start is by establishing a so-called friendship that likely didn't even exist as a mean to appeal to emotion, so that way that emotion can be agitated by his betrayal by Doki. He tries to push that motive as he says, the fact that this was held throughout our friendship is upsetting to me until... Okay, whatever. I don't care about this. Even in the last line, he's implying that all of the so-called right decisions Doki Bird made during her time in Nijisanji were because of his guidance. This couldn't be further from the truth, because if he had supported Doki like he had, he would have never volunteered to go onto his livestream in the first place. I remember all of that, Kursiden. Every single sentence. I have watched and rewatched this so many times. I've had to cut it for so many videos. I had to find the timestamps so many times. I'm just like, it's like etched into my mind. Unfortunately, I have all the useless information in my brain. I could go on and on about all the things Vox has done in that stream alone. But the last notable thing I want to talk about in this topic is what happened after it. The Lyra, Ike, and Vox reputation all took hits from this, but instead of perhaps trying to cheer everyone up or take some accountability, what does he do? He starts streaming on Bilibili, one of the most prominent traits of narcissism. And a decision that ultimately cost him, as later in the year Bilibili had revealed that VTubers would have to give their real name and identity to be allowed to stay. I don't think that ended up happening for Nijisanji. I think they just operate under a company and they don't need to give their real name, right? Because they stayed on Bilibili. Like the year came by and passed and they stayed on Bilibili. Nothing happened out of it. Yeah, so it's whatever. Okay, that part shouldn't have been in the doc. I mean, I feel like all of this part so far shouldn't have been in the doc. One of the 3 who volunteered for that stream, Vox was the only one to take this approach, like because he was the only one who had this as an option, and as seen in the future, not even that was enough to save him from backlash and criticism. Now, one thing I am curious about is this photo, because I've explained before in my videos on Bilibili, the chat messages are displayed directly on the screen. So is he getting spammed to graduate, or is this an edit? Secondly, let's talk about the hypocrisy Vox perpetuated before and after the stream. What I'm mainly referring to here is this BF ASMR streams. If you don't know what that was, it's roleplay ASMR that imagines the listener and the audio maker as partners in a relationship, a prevalent thing on YouTube. This alone by itself is not indicative of being the Antichrist. It's how he handled his fans and boundaries, often overstepping himself and being hypocritical. To summarize, you and I are not in a relationship. If you attack my friends or anyone I collab with, you're a dumb fuck and I don't like you. I'm sorry for being so blaze about addressing issues in the past. And I'm sorry for brushing off criticism. I will be better, thank you. However, exactly 3 days later, he immediately made a livestream titled Early Morning Zatsu, I Love You. False cover, it's real, but the context is about the mom's joke. That's what I thought. I feel like people were telling him to graduate when he did the mom's joke. That's when they were really shocked. It's pretty obvious from that alone he's willing to ignore his set boundaries for the sake of getting money. I mean, okay, from everything we've read in this document, I don't know if there is sufficient evidence for the quote-unquote perceived crimes he committed, especially like the bigger ones like SA and grooming and all of that. Now, for his personality though, what's transpiring from this document, if it is true, is that he looks like somebody that's like, you know, he likes the money and he likes doing he likes doing this kind of stuff. He likes the attention he gets from women, and he doesn't like the downsides, but he's trying to, you know, navigate both things while getting both, it seems. I could see that. I could see that. And while it's understandable from a physical point of view, it's incredibly damaging from a social point of view, where a person cannot stick to the boundaries they make. Especially considering if you look at Vox uploads, his latest ASMR was 6 months ago. Sure, he may have moved on from that, but he never actually stayed consistent with his boundaries and standards across his entire career. I mean, that's true. That is true that he's never stayed consistent with his boundaries, and that's something he's been criticized to a lot. Is that relevant to everything else before? Not so much. I feel like they're kind of picking at straws here. I thought there'd be new allegation, but it doesn't seem like there will be in this section. It's also a horrible look that the only streams setting clear boundaries have since been deleted. On top of what we've already shown, there are some posts he made that directly contradict what he said and are completely inappropriate. And this was in the same year, less than 6 months apart. On November 1st, 2022, Vox Akuma made this post regarding a typo in his schedule. I will include a screenshot of the post in case it gets deleted. Here's the original post in reply. I'm a big Dumbo penis weenus that taking a shower slot on Friday is actually gonna be me getting drunk on Shoto's channel. Please ignore my dumbass. However, you can still take a shower at some point. I'll figure it out. First off, that's just extremely weird, as a good majority of Vox fans are below the age of consent, and the implication of his reply leaned largely into sexual innuendos. And secondly, saying penis weenies on his social media is not just a liability, but it's completely unacceptable. I do not understand why this is allowed, but the implications of the get pregnant meme are worthy of the ban hammer. I don't get it. However, it's what comes after that completely veers into inappropriate. In the replies to this post, Vox posted this. Yes, we are dating, you and me. We will have sex in the hot and steamy confines of a glass box, while water runs down our bodies and we enjoy the slick and warm feeling of one another's bodies. I'm gonna tweet that too. That's gonna be funny. You, me, gas station. Microbes. Bacterias. Unsanitary environment. It's so cringe. Well, some people are into that, I guess. I don't know. This behavior is inappropriate for several reasons. First and foremost, the majority of his audience consists of minors, as previously stated, who could interpret this as being aimed at them. Don't they have like a rule about minors or something? They have a disclaimer or something. Hololive and Nijisanji. Can't really recall what it is. Even aside from that, this is highly irresponsible and poses significant risk to the company. It directly contradicts the boundaries he just set 6 months ago. That's valid though. It's true that it does directly contradicts the boundary he set, like when he did that whole about parasocial relationships. The thing is, yeah, he can't really control who follows him on Twitter. I shouldn't have to elaborate on why this is unacceptable. It simply isn't right. Like, if this was like a Discord server where like people in their bio or like people in their introduction, they're saying that they're 14-year-old, and you know, you could tell that most of his server is like minors and he's like doing roleplay in his server, then it would be sus. But it's on Twitter. I mean, there's like porn on Twitter. There's just a lot of arguments we could do here. He can't really control who follows him on Twitter. Wait, it's clear that someone like him should have a platform to engage in this behavior and get paid for it. He's not just a liability for the companies, also handle his influence with alarming irresponsibility. I could see that. Lastly, let's discuss the attention-seeking tendencies that Vox has. While some situations, such as him begging to be in a tournament, aren't as bad, that's not bad, he just wanted to be in a tournament. Half the internet would be cancelled if those were the standards. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Twitch is no exception. If you joke about it, then you get insta-ban. Yep. So like, there's a level of control you can have over your chat, but when it comes to Twitter, I think it's like generally accepted that you can't really control who follows you, aside from like blocking them. But he almost has like 1 million followers, that'd be insane. There's been a few times that this has adversely affected his fellow VTuber colleagues. One such example was when Rukali made a post. Oh, not Rukali again, oh my god, this guy, we also covered Rukali once. I cried to Vox before taking his... Dude, this is from Parrot's video, by the way. They took the screenshots from Parrot's video! LOL! Yes! That's funny. Yeah, so, you know, Rukali parasocial. I cried. He's fantasizing about this great friendship that Ike and Vox have. I cried to Vox before taking his first karaoke because he was, and Vox was there for him the entire time. Vox was there for his second karaoke too. Vox hyped us up for Eki's first reveal and Ike's first drunk stream, and now he hyped Ike for his 3D debut. Vox was there. The post has since been deleted, but Ike responded, which he seemed to not be pleased with. I've never cried before karaoke. Vox wasn't the only one there for the other thing either. And this makes me somewhat sad that everything I do always has to be made about him somehow instead of my own accomplishment. Now, thankfully, his response is still up on Twitter, so that's good. However, it's still very indicative of how far people are willing to go to make Vox the center of attention. You could argue that this isn't exactly Vox's fault, but he never said anything or came to Ike's defense. He never defended him and said, well, it was about all of us, it wasn't just about me. Okay, well, I think like if 2 livers came into Ruka Lee's reply, it would have been too much. Like just having Ike reply to Ruka Lee, Ruka got the Nijisanji fanbase like turned on him hard. He got like harassed and stuff. He had a meltdown. I don't know if he still even has the account. His silence is his asset. More importantly, the fact that they objectively lied and Vox was perfectly fine with someone lying about him as long as they made him look better. What? More importantly, the fact that they objectively lied and Vox was perfectly fine with someone lying about him. You mean a Twitter random lying about him as long as it made him look better is a really bad look. What do you want him to do? Like ego search his name and reply to every single person correcting them? That's insane. That's an insane expectation to have. Like, I'm sure he has his flaws. He's obviously committed a lot of wrongs when he was young. But, like, technically, so far in the document, we don't have anything super damning after he was 18 years old, first of all. And as Vox Akuma, there's nothing something like super damning. You can call him cringe. You can disagree with him because like he's playing into the parasocial relationship. You can call him a hypocrite. But aside from that, you can blame him for the black screen. But aside from that, you know, related to the first accusations that we read in the intro, I don't see it. Ways that Vox has just been weird, but that's not what we're trying to go for. If we mention every weird thing Vox did, it will make this document even bigger than it already is. And VTubers all do weird and unhinged things on their timeline. Yes. I think this document should have focused more on the, like, about, you know what? It should have given us, like, a really clean transcript of Starbot. Like, they should have spent more time on that and removed the entire, like, Vox Akuma, all of that. And the Vox Akuma response. There was no response. And then they mention that he mentioned the video made about him on his current identity from a stream 2 years ago. Sorry, not even a video, because that's too early. He mentioned these allegations on a stream 2 years ago, and then they don't say what did he say, and they don't even add like the link or the VOD or a clip or anything. Whoever wrote this clearly wants to damage Vox's reputation. I think that the person who wrote this just has like a Nijisanji hate boner, and they decided to do the doc about Vox. I don't know if in their head they really have it out just on Vox specifically. I feel like they're just a Nijisanji. They just don't like Nijisanji. Like, a lot of people don't like Nijisanji, but it takes a certain level of dedication to put this all together, you know? But, you know, these are assumptions, of course. I don't know them. I don't know who wrote this. It was from a burner account. The PL of a liver should come after the allegations of their current identity. What? To this we partially agree, and it's part of the reason we're making this document in the first place. If the current behavior of a liver is inappropriate or unacceptable, it makes perfect sense to investigate their PL to see if they exhibit better or worse behavior. In this case, assuming the allegations are true, then it would be the latter. More importantly, that mindset should be about things that are way smaller than the current subject at hand. Hiring a possible sexual predator, liar, manipulator, someone willing to dox someone's real name just to avoid controversy and accountability does not look good on any social and or business standard. Screenshots can be faked. I mean, there was no screenshots in this thing, so I don't even know why this is here. Unless you reach out to the victims, there's not any reliable proof. Okay, it's a lot of blah blah. Oh, the 14-year-old that spoke out is proof that Vox didn't do anything. No, that is not true. If you don't know what we're referring to, we're talking about the 14-year-old and 12 years old Vox allegedly flirted with in his Discord server as an 18-year-old. Oh, there is something about him being an 18-year-old. Said 14-year-olds, are they getting their age mixed up or am I getting the age mixed up? Because I thought he was 17 when that happened. I thought Starbutt said he was 17 in her blog post. Said 14-year-old spoke out against Starbutt in her video and was reposted on underlines a used Tumblr post to Starbutt saying the following. They said 16 and 17 every time until now. Yeah, right? Please read now, this is important. Oh my gosh, those messages around 34, 25 were all... I only did that as a joke. I wasn't intentional. I could tell he was only playing, joking around. He was not assaulting, flirting with me. I'm Victorian 111 and was just joking around in a chat about his... Okay, I can't trust anybody that types like this and capitalize every single word. Because I saw a live stream where so many people were like, your voice is amazing, and so I thought, wouldn't that be funny? But it wasn't properly something. I said he would agree with me anyway because I knew he would agree about his low, cool voice there. Also about the autistic kid that was logical. I can tell he's helping. When someone feels like that, always feeling on a bad thing, it's very hard for that person to love anything or anyone. I've been there. So don't you dare say that I don't know. This was a little silly at first, but this is a whole nother level. Sigh, look, I lost my cool, I'm sorry, but can we have a real discussion on Discord where I can tell you the whole thing calmly and rationally? However, this doesn't prove Vox didn't do it. It does the exact opposite. It's proof that he did at least the flirting part, intentionally or not. Sexualization and flirtatiousness around minors should not happen, including from the minor itself. Yeah, maybe it was her actually replying the comments. Regardless if she was okay with it, flirting with a minor in any capacity is inappropriate, even if she initiated it. I mean, that is true. Vox shouldn't have even given the time of day to the idea, especially if it was a joke. Like Victorian said it was, and although Victorian claims it wasn't flirting, it does confirm that something happened. Very likely flirting. What were the words exchanged? I don't know. This is madness. Did he age though? I don't understand the age thing. It has changed. I'm pretty sure we paid attention to the ages. And now it's turned 18. Before it was 17. Before it was 16, 17. While we do not have any testimonies from the 12 years old, that doesn't change the fact that if one is confirmed, the other one was likely real. Bleh. If found truthful, would make a Vox, okay, whatever. You can't just use the same source over and over again. We need updated testimonies. Well, the good news is I'm always happy to answer when I get tweeted at. I don't get added very often. The bad news is that was before my time with Vade. I'm sorry to tell you, was rejected from the channel for sexually abusing quite a few people. Star made a full vid about it. I'm extremely sorry for to be the bearer of such bad news. That is a painful thing that I heavily relate to. Words kind of fail me. You have my sympathy. Why are you digging this up? Vox hasn't taken accountability. Nijisanji had a reason to fire him. They would have done it ages ago. Doubt. This document makes me want to sigh. Conclusion. You can never truly leave the shadows of your past behind. They will always follow you no matter where you go. You may run from them or even hide away to not see them, but they will always be there. And Vox Akuma has done little to right the wrongs of his past, even outright pretending it was not occurring. Vox is someone who the Vtuber community needs to be made aware of. We do not wish for this to be witch hunting or harassment of any kind. Any individuals mentioned in this document, that does include Vox. We wrote this document to reveal our findings around Vox to help you all understand this information a little better, as well as the gravity of it all, should it be proven true. We know that a lot of you will have your own opinion on these findings, and we all have to ask of you to take the information that we present at face value. It's apparent he, along with others surrounding this event, have moved on, but that doesn't mean that his action may be forgotten. And remember, leaving Nijisanji is always an option, but leaving the past is not. Okay, they're getting a bit carried away here in this part. Yeah, that was... I don't know. That was a little too much, especially the conclusion. It was like I'm reading a literature book and not a Google Doc. Okay, this stream wasn't supposed to last that long. Hey, you! Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that bell button, and I'll see you in the next video.